Good morning, you all. I really appreciate you all being here. This is of monumental importance to everyone who's experienced court corruption and the, not the ignorance, but the fact that the district attorney's office has continued to ignore our pleas for justice and for them to look into any of the corruption. But these court officials continue to run the courthouse for their own benefit. What I'd like to do is start in prayer. Dear Lord, Heavenly Father, we know you say when two or more of us are gathered together, you are here in our presence. Lord, today we need you to shine your face on us, to feel our pain, to make this right, for our word not to be overlooked any further, for us to be able to stand up and get justice for our families, whether they be in probate court or family court. Dear God, thank you for these people, and please give us all the courage today to speak. We say this in Jesus' most precious name and with his authority. Amen. My name is Jody Sussman. I have been involved with this corruption since the first time my mother was forced into a fraudulent conservatorship in 2015. That conservatorship was again refiled. Even though she survived that, my dad died in the process. Then it was refiled in 2019 with the same lies about her being incoherent and being financially in mental decline and financial disarray. All of that was blatant lies to seize her assets and take from her. I'm still waiting to wake up from this nightmare of this corrupt system within the Orange County probate. In the 70s, through their tireless hard work and passion, my parents founded the American Way Cultural Center in Orange. By the time they were in their 80s, their estate had grown in value to over $20 million, and that's just for the property. My parents were targeted and trapped by this system, and that system that we know of has cost them between $6 and $7 million out of their hard-earned money. Where did all that money go? The answer is devastatingly clear. It was swallowed up by a corrupt probate system and has stolen the inheritance of thousands of families here in Orange County. Some of those victims are standing here with me today. All our stories are the same. Step one, scapegoat the other rest of the family so that there's a conflict of interest. Then try to isolate your family, your loved one from you using gatekeeping tactics that cut off contact with your loved ones. They tried that in my mother's case. They said that her house was decrepit and needed repair. They tried to forcefully remove her from her home, but we fought back. But not all families are that blessed to have that happen. My sister is a general contractor. Both my mother and father were general contractors. They're the ones who built the American Way Cultural Center. Then they try to gain control through court-appointed fiduciaries, guardians, and attorneys, often enabled with the judge with undisclosed conflict of interest. Then, step 4, liquidate the assets, especially the real estate. That is really the bottom line. Real estate is one of the biggest reasons why they targeted my parents. Then they funneled the sales through an insider network of predatory agents and appraisers. Step 5, bleed the estate dry by dragging our families through years of civil litigation and padded invoices until there's nothing left for the rightful heirs to have. This is not an isolated incident. It's a pattern, a system, a pipeline of elder abuse and estate theft that has enriched attorneys, fiduciaries, judges, real estate agents, and even these mental health workers at the expense of our families. Many of us have not only lost our inheritance, we have lost our parents to the system, to the system's abuse. We fought for their rights while they were alive, and God be with me, I'm still fighting for what's right. Sorry. This is hard. We are here today to expose this corruption, to speak for those who can no longer speak for themselves. We still will not be silent. We will not be dismissed. The buck stops here with our district attorney, Todd Spitzer. Todd, why won't you stop this abuse? We demand accountability. We demand justice. We want answers, and we want change now. Everyone spoke. 3 of these Board of Supervisors spoke at the June 24th Board of Supervisors meeting. They spoke of how they'd like to acknowledge World Elder Abuse Day. The abuse is done here in Orange County with men in $1,000 suits with all the power, and they strip our loved ones of their God-given rights. We need change. We all need change. We're all begging for change. God bless you all. This is in God's hand now.
Hello, my name is Lucy Velema. My son Jacob was taken from me 6 years ago. I've been an educator and a school principal for the past 23 years. I was told that I was alienating my son when I was protecting my son. Judge Donald Gaffney retaliated against me for filing 2 bar complaints against the professional misconduct of minors counsel, Diane Vargas. Diane Vargas and my attorney from the law office of Cameron Fernandez, David Booth, colluded and lied in court and specified that I was a danger to my son, when in fact I was protecting my son. My son has now been medically abused. When we went in ex parte to inform Judge Donald Gaffney, he said my son could be abused. My ex-husband, David Velema, was allowed to abuse my son in so many different ways: abandonment, neglect, medical abuse. I was denied alimony and only given a fraction of what I was owed. Again, with the colluding of the law office of Cameron Fernandez and Irvine. There's so many of us mom and family court that have fought for our children as protective parents, and we have been retaliated against because we wanted to keep our children safe. As a mandated reporter, as an educator here in California, I filed 2 CPS reports and they fell on deaf ears. I've also spoken to the OC Board of Supervisors in front of Vincent Sarmiento. It fell on deaf ears. I filed an FBI report. I spoke in front of the House of Representatives and Senators in Arizona. Someone is finally listening that our children are being abused. I am placed in charge of the health and safety of an entire school of children. And the irony of it, I have not had custody of my son in 6 years. My son has been abused, as many of these other children have been abused in family court. Our judges and court-appointed representatives take oaths to protect and serve. I took an oath to protect and serve, and that's what I do for my students. Why are they not held accountable? If the highest levels of government will not listen and hold these individuals accountable for the corruption and abuse, who can we turn to? Who will fight for our children? If there is an attorney out there or a law firm who is willing to take on, there's about 25 of us moms in South Orange County who are looking for a class action suit, please contact me so we can connect. We want these individuals, the court-appointed individuals who have abused their children repeatedly and persecuted us as protective parents. We want justice. We want reform so other families do not undergo the abuse and the corruption that we have endured at the hands of these court-appointed individuals. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Lori Barber Schiller. I'm speaking on behalf of Probate because that was where my nightmare started. My loser sister filed a complaint that I was abusing my parents. I was the best friends with my parents. I did so much with them, and I only lived a couple miles from them. My sister has always lived far away, but she was the oldest. So she felt that she had the power. You take somebody who is not all mentally there and who is not good with money and not living a good life. And usually those are the ones that initiate this process. They go to an attorney, like Cheryl Walsh, who's in that poster. Oh, they can't wait to get a hold of someone who's not all there and just start a process, and they separate the family members, like Joby said. They further go in and just make a bad situation even worse. So who suffers? Mainly my parents. Art and Hilda Barber suffered with slight dementia at the beginning. Their life forever changed. They were isolated from their siblings, from me and my family, and the only ones that got to see them was my sister. Why? Because they go after every whistleblower. So every person here is a whistleblower, and they threaten with restraining orders. They don't let you see your loved ones. That's the game. And don't think this won't happen to you. My parents had a living will and trust, just like many others here. If you look at some of these posters, it's the same criminals over and over and over again. Yet the Board of Supervisors knew of this. And it's easier just to do nothing. Well, now we're going to go after you. In the media, public awareness, the public does not like evildoers. We are going to go after you. Time's almost up. Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you, Lori and everybody. I'm Deborah Donathan, educator, advocate, and whistleblower, and I am taking the disposition to protect IDEA and ADA, our special needs population, and I'm also going after the contracts, because the contracts, all of these people we're talking about are contracted with the county, with over probably $6-8 billion now in the budget. There's over $10 billion. They are all contracted. So everything that's happening, and I'll try to stay on script because that'll be helpful. This is about stealing from everyone, especially you, the taxpayer. The Orange County has over $10 billion this year, annual budget. More than $6 billion, it's probably closer to $8 billion, goes through Health and Human Services, which is all of these third parties that we're talking about. Much of it is tied to conservatorships, regional centers, special education, court mandated care, aging, family, social services. The money comes from you through property taxes, state income taxes, federal grants tied to IDEA, which is the Individuals with Education Act, Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, ADA, Medi-Cal, and Title I. But instead of funding services, that money is funneled through probate, diverted through contracts, and handed back to the same small circle of insiders who wrote the rules. This structure has become a wealth loop, and these are the victims of the wealth loop. The vulnerable are the invoice, the court is the vehicle, the insiders are the bank. The very people who live in the highest tax areas are 1%ers, which is all of these people we're talking about behind these operations, have figured out how to turn those taxes into private contract payouts. This is theft, not just from families, but from the public. My role and yours, I'm a credentialed educator. I've served families in this county since 2004, and prior to that, social work major, LA County social work trained, contracted. I was a member of the OC Bar conservatorship, plus other sections as well, until I became a whistleblower. I filed complaints, I brought suit, I faced retaliation. I've seen the inside. I am telling you This machine is not lawful. It's a structure built to suppress, deflect, and to steal. And it can only survive if we stay silent. So today we're demanding immediate audits of all contracts flowing through probate, a federal investigation of Harbottle Law Firm, which it was working with the, and its suppression of IDA and ADA claims. I'll leave it at that. Independent oversight, not controlled by the same network of insiders. Restoration of jurisdiction to its lawful channels. IDA to OAH to federal court, not probate. Passage, people know here, I have proposed an oversight ordinance at the Board of Supervisors meeting on 6/24. I want that agendized. Ultimately passed at some ultimately passed. We are here because we believe in something deeper, that law matters, that rights matter, that vulnerable matter. Let me see, what else? So how it works, just real simply, the county receives state and federal money for special education, disability, mental health, elder care, social services. But when family raise legal claims, especially for me under IDA or ADA, as that's, my heart and soul and what I'm protecting, the county doesn't defend them. They reroute the jurisdiction into probate where federal protections don't apply. They remove a parent, suppress the record, and shut down a case before liability hits. I can say Harbottle Law Firm represents most of Orange County school districts. Harbottle Law Firm represents most of Orange County school districts and sits in probate court as well, and is contracted and tied to regional center contracts who help execute this scheme. Stealing from special needs. This is a horrific fight, and I always remind myself, it's like they're stealing from special needs people. Back up. We're going to back you up. It's unacceptable. It's unacceptable. IDEA gives families the right to seek services, enforce accountability, and appeal to federal court. By rerouting these cases and stripping parental rights, they are violating the supremacy clause, retaliating under ADA and Section 504, and protecting county liability by destroying the record and the plaintiff. And I know I'm going to go just a little bit longer. Rerouting jurisdiction is a violation of federal law. IDEA and ADA are federal civil rights laws. They are enforced through federal administrative hearings and courts under 20 USC Section 1415, the Supremacy Clause, and Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act. When judges allow Harbottle Law Firm or county council to reroute jurisdiction into probate, they are acting outside of their authority. They are denying due process, and they are engaging in retaliating obstruction of federal enforcement. This violates civil rights and violates judicial ethics, and this robs the very people these laws were built to protect. And lastly, now they're trying to go after care court, all that money in care court, which is handled in a separate court. It's a mental health diversion. I've heard, how do you say his name? Judge Baita? Because I was a section member, say they are going to put care court into probate, which is long-term conservatorship, which is, about your properties. And I about died. My heart dropped. Let me say it, stay on track, designed for mental health diversion into probate, where rights are removed without hearings, families are silenced, and services are diverted into court-appointed placements with no accountability. And that's where they're going to try to throw these poor care court clients. And not on my watch. God help me. And we're going to do a little pushback. But thank you for letting me speak today. And that's it. Have a great day.
Okay. Sorry. My story is about systemic retaliation, family destruction, and legal betrayal. My name is Genevieve Esquivel. I'm a mother. I'm a licensed mental health professional. I'm still fighting not just for my child, but for the truth, justice, and safety for my entire family. In June of last year, I entered a vacated property previously occupied by my child's father to retrieve my late mother's belongings. This was after 6 years of him withholding those items and multiple attempts on my part to recover them through the legal system. There was no confrontation, no violence, but almost 6 months later, while I was protecting my son after he disclosed further physical and sexual abuse, the district attorney filed charges from that incident to pressure me, threaten my partner, and coerce my surrender. I was acting under a valid domestic violence restraining order, but even with that, the court protection in place, my family and I were swatted, stalked, harassed, and threatened. The biological father and his family were behind it, and law enforcement did nothing. Instead, he weaponized the system to get a restraining order against my partner and tear my family apart. He also terminated the CPS-referred therapist assigned to my son, and the court allowed him to sever that relationship. My son had finally begun to speak, and his father saw he was talking too much, so he silenced him. The court enabled it. The courts gave my son back to the man he feared. I was arrested for protecting him. I have not seen my son in over 5 months. Services for my special needs daughters were cut off. Today, I'm not just facing criminal charges, I'm fighting to protect my professional license. Even though the accusations have nothing to do with my work, this is targeted, retaliatory, and abusive. This isn't just a broken system, it's a weaponized one, upheld by judges, mediators, court-appointed professionals, including minors counsel and therapists, CPS, law enforcement, and lawyers who protect abusers, ignore children, and punish the people trying to save them. None of them protected my child. None of them fulfilled their duty to mandate report. My son's biological father has a history of violence against women. Another mother previously obtained a restraining order against him. He is a criminal informant, and he is being protected at all costs. I'm not a survivor yet because I'm still in the middle of this fight. I am being criminalized, silenced, and punished for doing what any good parent would do: believe their child and protect them. I'm here to say enough. We need accountability. We need courts to protect children, not abusers. We need systems that respect protected parents, not destroy them. My son deserves safety. My family deserves peace. I deserve justice. I will not be silenced. When will the suffering end? When will our voices be heard? These poorly informed, mistaken decisions impact generations. What I've shared today is just a glimpse into the horror my family has truly endured. Most people falsely believe there are checks and balances, but that is a smokescreen, a false sense of security. This is a system where abusers and perpetrators are protected, their narratives automatically believed, while victims and protected parents are dismissed, vilified, or criminalized, until some are driven to desperation and unspeakable acts, simply because they refuse to conform to status quo, or dare to demand that the evidence be seen. Police reports, doctors' reports, school counselors, CPS, therapists. Laws meant to protect us, like those surrounding domestic violence, children's rights, and Caden's Law, are meaningless if the very people in power refuse to uphold them. When decisions are made based on personal bias or political agendas instead of evidence and justice, the result is not protection, it's persecution. This has also caused immense financial hardship. I'm in over $80,000 of debt, just trying to defend myself and protect my child. The truth is not lucrative, but trauma is. The government profits off of pain, suffering, and injustice. Who is going to be held accountable for the trauma, the violence, the slander to my name and to my partners? If even one person had considered the evidence for a single second, my son would have been spared over 5 years of abuse. If I, as a licensed professional, am facing all of this just to be heard, how could a child possibly withstand it? My son told anyone who would listen, and he was dismissed, silenced, ripped from my arms. He was so brave to come forward, only to be betrayed by every adult he trusted. I'm not just a mother, I'm a martial artist, a runner, a soccer coach, and an active presence in my community. But being a mother after everything is the most important part of who I am. Still, I have been severely isolated. I've been cut off from my family who lives out of state. My daughters have been left confused, grieving, and emotionally distressed without their brother. Everyone who spoke up in my defense, people who know the person I am, were intimidated, threatened. Friends, family, medical providers, even people in the community. Who will answer to them for this suffering they endured? Who will answer to my daughters for the emptiness they feel and the questions they cannot answer? Who will answer to my son, Bane, for the years of pain, betrayal, and abandonment he was forced to carry alone? Do you know what it's like to wake up every day feeling as though your son is dead? To feel like you failed to protect him, even though you gave everything you had? To have his cries imprinted in your minds, playing on repeat while you live in fear, even of those who are supposed to protect you? Can you fathom that, even for a second? And while I have been silenced and attacked for protecting my son, the man he feared has exploited him publicly, using his name, his photo, even filming him to raise money. He launched a fundraiser under false claims in mental health and child abduction, using my child's image and solicit donations while silencing my truth. My son, who disclosed abuse, was turned into a tool for profit. This is not protection, this is performance manipulation and financial abuse of a child. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Julie Anderson-Holburn. I am a victim of Orange County Family Court, CPS, Newport Beach Police, Costa Mesa Police, and OCDA. After long-standing restraining order violations by my ex-husband that were not enforced, where we were not protected ever, my ex-husband increased his forms of abuse on my children, including strangulation and withholding food, to the point my son looked like he just came out of a death camp. Then he committed a felony assault on March 13th, 2021, with 911 callers corroborating the assault and attack down an entire city block, intermittent video, body cam, and they covered it up because I pushed and pushed to have the officers and the DA enforce my long-standing renewed restraining order and violations of domestic violence and child abuse. They retaliated. They sent a guy out to my house who harassed us for over 2 hours. His name is Joe Faria. Because of all this, I can't even begin to tell you the horror I experienced and the terror by the very agencies who are supposed to protect us. I then became an advocate and spoke on behalf of Peaky's Law up at the state capitol. And because I wasn't seeing enough reaction, I apprenticed and became an investigative reporter about 2 years ago. And now I write on Substack and I write all your stories. I write about family court corruption, CPS, and foster care up and down the state of California, across the nation. And I can tell you without a doubt, because of the hundreds of thousands of parents and families and children who've reached out to me, that Orange County is in fact the #1 corrupt county in the nation with regard to not protecting its elders and its children and victims of abuse. I can tell you that I have reached out to Todd Spitzer relentlessly, and they've gotten no response. And Genevieve's story is just one of hundreds of thousands across the state of California, and now it's being reiterated in the Arizona ad hoc committee hearings, and also Idaho has now launched Senate hearings into what's going on in family court. So I'm here today on behalf of hundreds of thousands of parents and children across the state of California, across the nation. We need help. We need higher authority. We need Attorney Rob Bonta. We need U.S. attorneys, Bill Asaley, to get involved in this and take this seriously. We know from sources who've told us that Dr. Reinhardt is being investigated by the Department of Investigation through the AG's office. We need you to investigate everyone in Orange County, in probate court and family court. All the minors' councils, all the gals, all the therapists, they have all been in it together. And I can tell you, our presiding judge, she knows it's going on. And Sherry Pham, and OCDA Todd Spitzer. So I'm asking all of you to share this video, contact your legislators, contact Ron Bonta, flood his office. He just finally, it was released yesterday in the LA Times, he just finally admitted in the paper that he has to take over foster care and CPS of LA because of how badly those children have been treated. I got news for you, Mr. Bonta. We need U.S. Attorney Bill Asaley to get involved. We need Rob Bonta to investigate everyone on the Minors Council list, therapist list, the reunification therapists, and Peaky's Law is not being implemented. Again, my name is Julie Anderson-Holburn. You can find me on Substack. You can find me on Instagram. You can find me on X. And I want to hear your story, and I want to write about it because we need to change, and enough is enough. And California is supposed to lead the nation in policy. What the hell is going on, and what are you doing? Why are you not protecting our children? I have not seen or heard from my children in 2 years because they retaliated against me. They flipped custody to the documented abuser. 12 years of adjudicated rulings. And what did they say? How did they do that? I was a parental alienator, even though there's medical document after medical document, video for 12 years and rulings that he was a perpetrator of domestic violence and child abuse. Where are you, Todd Spitzer? Go get my kids and save them. And everybody else's. This is enough. This is Orange County, California. Get it together. Thank you.
Yay!
Well, howdy. My name is Billy Powers, 18-year veteran of crimes in Orange County committed against my family. I am standing here as the national organizer for a group called Toll and Roll. Go to tollandroll.com. The trees are even hugging me. What can I tell you? We're here, toll and roll, representing not only CPS, but APS, Adult Protective Services, guardianship, conservatorship, and deed fraud. And I am here as the Orange County whistleblower for the software systems that connect all of this together, and which are why on May 2nd, our team met with DOJ in Washington, D.C. It started here in Orange County at the district attorney's office and in a court case called Powers versus Bank of New York Mellon. Judge David O. Carter, AKA named himself the Sledgehammer, promised to bring in the U.S. Attorney General in order to prosecute the case if we could prove fraud. Cases from across the country came into that case. In those cases, you had, as my family, SWAT teams, attacks by sheriff, theft of everything we own, including, some of them, their freedom. We have children who have been taken. We have elders who have been taken. I am dealing with a cousin who deals with all who rescue trafficked children. That is one of the other big things, Julie, that Orange County is known for, is the child trafficking capital of the world. And when I say the world, it's because it's tied into that software system that's used as a utility to create all the crimes against all of these people, you at home, anyone out there who's had a case open in a court, who's tried to buy a car, who's attempted to buy a home. Your family's identities are in this software system. You are being trafficked around this world through all the Department of Defenses. And on July 8th in Washington, D.C., the biggest case against Orange County, California District Attorney and OCDA Todd Spitzer, also in his private capacity, hey y'all, and Orange County, San Diego, LA, and Riverside as the owners of this software platform. It connects and interacts through every software platform throughout the world. Don't let them kid you. This isn't a small thing. DOJ took this on because we showed them as bounty hunters how to collect hundreds of trillions of dollars on behalf of all of us, how to return our children to the parents, how to return the elderly to their homes, how to stop the corrupt attorneys and lawyers, esquires, and judges across this country from stealing. Reverse engineers everything, and it's simple. So these people here today, fighting for their parents, fighting for their children, tollandroll.com, you have 4 national delegates in D.C. Myself, Billy Powers, Tom, forget about it, Kibler. He's not stopping until we're done. John Bloom from Oregon, Matt Scarlatos in D.C. And John Bloom's out of Oregon. So all you folks here, we got your back. All of you, not just one. And when you hear cases, this is always something that bothers me. If I hear someone say, I'm getting in, they're listening to my case. My first question is, well, who are you? How much money you got behind you? And have you mentioned everybody else that you should be protecting? Hear that car? That's an engine revving. This is a line in the sand, a shot across the Rubicon. If you got a case and they're listening to you, and you don't mention We the People and tollandroll.com, I got questions behind the scenes for you, because it's not just about you. Good on you if you get a settlement. Good on you if you get help. But who the hell do you know that can pay to play in that office to get that done for you? Because that's the only way things are getting done, and that's what we're being told across this country. I've got representatives in all kinds of states contacting us. We got one representative of a house in a state that's trying to meet up with us next week in D.C. for the Whistleblower Conference. It's National Whistleblower Day on July 30th. If you have a case, you're a whistleblower because it's proprietary information to you. So don't let anybody tell you have to work for the government to be a whistleblower, because that government also forgets to tell you they've tied you in as an employee behind the scenes. And all this software, it's hiding documents, it's hiding cases, it's hiding everything that's really being run behind your case. So no, what you see on the surface, just like the water, you see a boat, but below that boat is the bottom of the boat. Below that bottom of the boat are fish. Coral, sand. Well, I'm here to tell you that fish, the coral and the sand beneath the surface of this Orange County District Attorney's office, I got one name for you, Patrick Soria. Leslie Young, howdy girl. You know you're a gatekeeper. I was just told by senior investigator he was supposed to call me on July 2nd, promised to follow up, but guess what? He was stopped. They told him he couldn't talk to me. That was before I filed the lawsuit, by the way. So I don't know if Todd really doesn't know what's going on, as he professed to me on June 24th at the Board of Supervisors meeting, when he told me, Billy, get into my office. You have to come into my office. I have to talk to you. I will tell them. I will give them your name. They will have to let you in. I laughed. I said, oh, good on you, Todd. I've spent 8 years doing everything you just told me to do. You might want to check into your gatekeepers, because in reality, your thing that you say they're against you in that office, that they're keeping you from helping the people, some might believe that. But I'm telling you, you're accountable for everything that goes on in there. So you best step up. You best get a hold of yourself, and not by what you're telling all the ladies out there you're having to pay money for. But get a hold of your integrity. Get a hold of your future, because right now, Todd, you have none. You have no future. You have no way to get reelected. You stand with we the people. You go against the criminals in your office. You can do that. You can save Orange County. You can save these children. You can save these parents. You can save every stolen home. I was homeless after your SWAT team sheriffs, FBI under cars and everything else showed up at my property. That shouldn't happen. SWAT teams should not be used against the people. The people are who pay your salary. So I'll tell you what, I'm going to close here. Go to tollandroll.com. It's not just about me. It's about you. You. I can go on for 1,000 people here. Make it about the people, not just your case. It's a we case. And we in DC also have, FYI, Orange County DA, an undercover investigation, and your name is top of the barrel. Because of you, Orange County District Attorney, we ended up in Washington, DC, because nationally, all your crimes here are tied in, even in Toledo, Ohio. Thank you.
My name is Sandy Kobianki, and I have been in this advocacy group with my name is Sandy Kobianki. I've been in this advocacy group for about 15 years now. My mom passed 2 years ago. Why do I do this? Why do I want to educate people? Because I have nieces and nephews and family members and friends, dear friends, that can easily fall into this and be prey to this horrible, evil enterprise. I want to start out by saying that there's two things that I want people to understand. Is that this doesn't have to we have people, friends and family, that say, this doesn't concern me. My parents are dead. I have an only child. We have a airtight living trust. These are the kind of things I hear all the time. Well, guess what? I'm going to tell you that every person on this planet, if you have a loved one or you love somebody and you pay taxes, then this affects you. This issue affects you. And you need to know that. The other thing that I like to put out there is that when me and my family were going through the conservatorship abuse with my mom, I couldn't understand why they were fighting so hard in Orange County Court to keep my mother under wraps. She had no money. We exhausted all of her assets. She had her house, and that's it. And that went fast with all the attorney's fees and everything. She didn't have a pot to piss in. Why are they fighting 3 children that love her and have the resources? It's because, and I did not know this, and I think this is very important in the probate court for people to understand, for the public to understand. It's not just wealthy people that they go after. Every senior in California, at least, is worth about $300,000 in state and federal funds. Okay, so they're drawing from us taxpayers and that money to put in line their own pockets. That's why, but I didn't know that at the time. I'm a representative for CEAR. CEAR stands for the Center for Estate Administrative Reform, Fraudulent Adult Guardianship Prevention and Prosecution. I'm just going to give you a quick synopsis for those that may not know about this issue to help you better understand. SEER counsels victims and their loved ones, educate the public, and advocates for reforms to best protect vulnerable adults and their estates in probate and adult conservatorships or guardianship adjudication. Guardianships and conservatorships are ordered in local courts under the guise of protecting a vulnerable adult. Sadly, it has morphed into a risky and expensive reality over the last century. An adult guardianship order removes a person's rights, decision-making ability, and their estate, granting them to a third party. It also invites the court and its allies to control the destiny of the vulnerable. The action is legally on par with ordering a civil death sentence to the alleged incapacitated person, as they and their estate become the property of the system. Fraudulent guardianship described the use of guardianship courts as a weapon to exploit the vulnerable. Predatory attorneys, fraudulent petitions, and courts to gain control of a person and their estate in denial of federal and state statutes, estate documents, and often the emotional objections of the quite articulate, vulnerable adult and their loved ones. Trustees of family trusts are often targeted by the process. There's often no redress in an exploitative guardianship or conservatorship, and the attorneys who execute them know it. Law enforcement and adult protection services routinely don't engage in criminal complaints against guardianships, as they view it as a civil matter, and appeals to higher courts are most often denied or remanded back to the sponsoring jurist. The victims are locked into litigation until their funds are depleted or their legitimate protectors surrender. Most victims cannot find zealous and capable counsel at any cost. Adult guardianship has become each state bar association's profit center, and they're fully committed to growing this lucrative business. I just wanted to give, for those that aren't familiar with our cause, what exactly is going on here. I will say that we have a nephew that just graduated with the highest honors in South Carolina. And he was telling us about the bar, and he said that now they have excluded all probate questions from the bar exam. That's not a coincidence, folks. This is an enterprise. This is like the mafia. And I also want to say before I close, because there's a lot to say, don't think that this is just a California issue. And like somebody before me mentioned, California, other states look to us for jurisdiction for setting the pace on laws. Well, guess what? California is a hot spot, which means that there's a lot of corruption here. But don't get fooled, because it's through state lines. I have allies and people that we talk to through our conservatorship that are in other states across this country. There is not one state that There is not one state that is protected from this evil enterprise and money machine. I just pray, I want to end this with saying, in my faith, life on earth here is temporary, and I feel very certain that we're all going to have to answer one day. So if they win and we don't have any jurisdiction in my lifetime, guess what? Eternity is forever, and all these people that are doing this, that know and are turning a blind eye, and there's plenty of them all the way up to Congress, that know what's going on, and they turn a blind eye because that almighty dollar is more important than human life, is going to be held accountable then. Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Jennifer Wolfenden. You might not think this could happen to you, but it happened to me. Essentially, because of domestic violence from my husband, we lost our home. He refused to pay any of our bills, and everyone knows how expensive it is to live in Orange County, and we lost our home. We moved in temporarily with family, but there wasn't enough room for us to have rooms with myself and my two children. I received hotel vouchers from social services to stay in a hotel for 2 weeks. My daughter and I went to stay in a hotel. I ran out to get food for her because there's no food in a hotel. She wasn't feeling well, so I ran out to get her food. The hotel called the sheriff, and when I came back, I was arrested for trying to go get my daughter food. I was taken to jail. No crime was charged against me, but initially they tried to arrest me for, quote, child endangerment because I was trying to feed my daughter. who was. I then had a court hearing a month and a half later where a judge terminated my custody of my daughter and put them in foster care. The foster care happened to be a family member, my sister. My sister, and I have 2 children. One child was with me, one child was in school. I have 2 children, as I said. My sister receives $3,400 a month in foster care for watching my children. She has said lies about me, that I'm crazy, etc., so that I cannot get my children back to the CPS social workers. The social workers have testified against me that I have all sorts of mental illness and things like that. I am a UC Berkeley graduate. I tutor math on a daily basis to middle school and high school students. I am coming today to let people know that this could happen to you. This has been going on now for 1.5 years, where I have lost, quote, custody of my children. Because I have, quote, lost custody, their dad is not required to pay any child support, which makes it even more of a burden to pay for all the bills. I am speaking here today to let you know that I'm a real person, and this could happen to anybody. My next court case is August 7th, where I'm going to court to present letters from my students that I tutor. I also taught in a home school in San Juan Capistrano as well. So I have been doing teaching and tutoring for the last 30 years. I am 56 years old, and my kids are now 12 and 13 years old. Asking to have my custody and my rights returned of my children, and for them to let us live our life. Thank you. That is my story.
Hello, Orange County. My name is Ziggy, and I have been in the probate court for 11 years. Sadly enough, 6 of my very close friends are in their own individual hell cases. My case started from a family theft, and whether it's the government taking your children and saying who they should live with, or taking your elder parent and saying who they should live with, I believe the system's broken. It needs a solution. I believe the solution is to criminalize elder abuse, at least from my experience. If criminalization can happen amongst family members, it'll decline this type of abuse, not only here in Orange County, but throughout the United States. I also believe that they should have a committee assigned through the taxpayers' dollars to have sort of an arbitration, to hear a matter immediately and make some real decisions, because the abuse that I'm seeing, no matter what the story is here, is the elongation of hell that keeps going on for years or decades. I have one family friend who's been doing this for 15 years over a small account. And it doesn't matter about the money, it just matters that you're still going to court and having to jump at the tune of what they want you to do. The judges have not been fair. I will say that I've seen a few fair judges. They're no longer with the court, sadly. But if you say something they don't like, then they'll side against you, no matter how right you are, whether you are a trustee or not, whether you have money or not, it doesn't matter. It's a really sad predicament, and I don't want to go into it too much. These families have lost much more than me, but I have lost over $1 million of income just trying to fight this on my own. So I would like to say that the people that continue to fight these battles, God be with them, because that is the only thing that keeps you going at the end of the day. Amen.
Raise this a little bit. It's okay. Good morning. My name is Krista Goldstein, and my family and I have been victims of the Ventura County, California family court system for over 12 years. All of us, but most tragically our children, have been unnecessarily and egregiously robbed of our inalienable right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Out of respect for my children and their father, I won't speak to the private details of our case because I continue to hold space for our family's healing. Healing that has been made unlikely, if not impossible, by a system that operates not only outside of, but in direct contradiction to the United States Constitution. I will instead speak to what is at best gross negligence at the hands of the courts of equity in the state of California, but more likely an intentional grift off of those most vulnerable. Family court is currently operating as a self-appointed superparent, in effect playing God and profiting off families trying to separate from harm. Our assigned judge, the Dishonorable Bill Liebman of Ventura County, California, ignored clear evidence of domestic violence, even after ordering sanctions for it during the case. He violated our constitutional right to due process, issued destructive and life-altering orders, left us to navigate an impossible custody arrangement and dynamic with zero protections or support, and then conveniently retired. He is protected by judicial immunity while our family is left in pieces with chronic trauma, financial devastation, and no path to justice. My children's father and I were repeatedly coerced by members of the judicial branch, threatened with sanctions, jail time, and the removal of our right to parent. We were criticized, punished for the very behavior that makes us human, and our trauma response to being intimidated and coerced. My children were forced into inappropriate care and now fear therapy. My nervous system has been permanently altered for the worse. My parents lost their home trying to protect us, their grandchildren. Like many parents here today, I could go on and on about the utter devastation left in the wake of family court's actions. However, this is not the result of a broken system. It is the result of a system operating exactly as it was designed to, one that exploits inequality. In our case, the parties were of unequal financial status. One parent had the means to fund the court pipeline, but we all suffered. Our attorneys and judges colluded to grift off that inequity and destroyed any hope of healing or accountability. Any hope of healing or accountability was crushed by a court that operates outside of the Constitution. Domestic terrorism is defined as committing acts of intimidation or coercion against citizens, as well as influencing government policy through those same means. What is happening in family court, the coercion, the intimidation, the profit from suffering, meets every single federal definition of domestic terrorism. And yet the courts call it protection. The next generation of citizens, our children, are being treated like property, divided into portions between parents. It is inhumane, it is unconstitutional, and it is happening every single day in this country that calls itself free. This undeniably harmful and archaic system is kept alive by a profit motive. Minors' councils, evaluators, and supervisors, most of whom blatantly ignored clear evidence in our case, charged hundreds of thousands per hour to inflict this harm. The only professionals that seemed to even consider my children's best interest were the court-appointed mediators, and they are paid the least. The judges, attorneys, mental health professionals, and supervisors collude in backroom ex-party conversations and violate the privacy of the citizens of this country that they serve with impunity. Courts of equity, like family, juvenile, and dependency courts, originated in medieval England to let judges bypass written law and rule based on what seems fair. This system was subjective, prone to bias, and unbound by legal protections. When the U.S. broke from British rule, we inherited this model, but we also wrote a constitution to protect citizens from that very kind of unchecked power. It was designed to guarantee due process, equal protection, and limit government overreach. Yet today, courts of equity, quote unquote equity, still operate with unreviewable authority. Judges act as prosecutor, jury, and executioner, often without evidence, without a jury, and without the opportunity to appeal. Equity was never meant to override the Constitution, but it's exactly what it does. We don't need courts of equity. We don't need them. They're irrelevant and they're harmful. We already have civil and criminal courts, and it's time to abolish all courts of equity and strip the judiciary of the power to rule outside written law. These powers have no place in a constitutional republic where laws, not personal discretion, should govern. No judge should have the authority to override constitutional rights under the vague pretense of fairness. Absolute power, hidden under the guise of equity, corrupts absolutely, and it destroys families. I'm here today, not just fighting for my family or my children. I'm fighting for every silenced parent, every child cruelly and unjustly separated from their primary caregiver, every child and parent that have been lost. And every person told to accept injustice quietly. There is no place for an unconstitutional and unlawful shadow system like family court and all of these courts of equity and judicial discretion in a free and civilized society. This affects every single citizen and taxpayer in this country and in this state. Please don't take my word for this. Take a moment, do a simple Google search about the origin of courts of equity and why they don't have to abide by the law or the U.S. Constitution. Follow National Safe Parents Organization. They're doing great work. And Project Justice USA, also doing great work and collecting national stories and survey results. In the wise words of Supreme Court Justice Brandeis, sunlight is the best disinfectant. This system's days are numbered. Change is on the horizon. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Introduce yourself.
My name is Shauna Delk. I am a victim of family court. Thank you for allowing me this time to talk. Social media has brought to light for many protective parents in Orange County, joined together by similar concerns, particularly common court-appointed therapists named Stacey Kinney and Jessica St. Clair, who was recently found to have fraudulent credentials and extreme bias. St. Clair had fraudulent reports and recommendations for decades worth of cases affecting children's safety and parental rights of custody. St. Clair works closely with other court-appointed professionals, such as Stacey Kinney, who refer each other and then who echo each other's biases, refusing to acknowledge forensic evidence of sexual and physical abuse, much other evidence of other kinds of child abuse and domestic violence, extreme cases where children are court-ordered to live with the alleged abusers they fear, and children are being removed from the protective parents as punishment for voicing concerns. These family court professionals are interfering with Orange County Sheriff Department and CPS investigations. Protective parents are being told to go take it up with family court by the other systems. Oftentimes, the court professionals are getting involved with these investigations and pushing for family court to investigate the child abuse instead of the sheriff or CPS. When going to family court, these protective parents are being punished and having their parental rights removed, often solely on the basis of hearsay from these fraudulent and biased court professionals who lie about their credentials, among other things, in testimony persuading the courts. I personally have had at least two of these other professionals refuse to call disclosed child abuse into appropriate authorities, lie in testimony, refuse to acknowledge forensic evidence of physical sexual abuse, refuse to investigate or even speak about child abuse, and after not even speaking with the family members, they recommend sole custody to abusive parents and oftentimes accuse protective mothers of being delusional, without any investigation or assessment, never mind the credentials to do so. There's no evaluations being done. And the family courts are also refusing other professionals outside the family courts who have done the proper psych evals and saying that this protective parent is not delusional. Yet the courts continue to accept this bias and blatant lie. Yeah. The judges take they're illegal on so many levels. And the judges take these recommendations from these biased court professionals like Gould and most oftentimes refuse to even consider testimony or evidence in court. They take those words like they're God and they sign off and that's it. This is done with. You can never talk about it again. I would have never believed that this happens if I did not witness this tragedy myself and heard many other matters with similar experiences. If any reasonable person with actual credentials in an unbiased nature would be to review these cases, the outcomes would be drastically different. I guarantee you that. I am requesting an immediate investigation into the Orange County Family Court Lamoureux Justice Center, the judges, the staff, the minors council, the therapists, the custody evaluators, all of them. Thank you for considering this. The future generations and the children of Orange County depend on you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to have our last speaker come up. I wanted to tell anybody out there that's listening to this video, if you want to understand more about what's going on, you can go to get on Amazon, get Diane Diamond's book. Let me get the name of it correct here. It's called We're Here to Help When Guardianship Goes Wrong. Diane Diamond is a very respected reporter. You can often see her on TV on Dateline NBC. I know a lot of you watch that crime show. She's on there consistently currently. She wrote an excellent book, and it'll tell you stories about people like you and I in this country that this exact issue that we're talking about is happening to. Okay, we're going to welcome our last speaker.
And so I have Cheryl Walsh here. I have her involved. I have Keith Wisbaum involved.
Okay. This lady right here would love to take your information, please.
Okay, I'm going to try to be as brief as possible. There's no way I could speak as well as some of the other people have spoken with their heart and soul and what's happening in America today. But primarily right now we're dealing with the Orange County probate court system and, as Jody has called, the cabal around it. As a quick background for me, my name is Michael Flint. My mother started, of all things, PFAC, the conservatorship group that was meant to be to help people, to look over people like you that are having issues. And the system itself, the inequity, you talk about equity, the inequity that's going on, and ultimately it is the system and how much people are making behind the scenes that are driving this. You guys all know if there wasn't money involved, there's estates, huge estate. Our estate, without going to, is probably losing $50,000 a month. And we're not rich people because the delayed system. 7 years and in front of 15 different judges. So there's no continuity. So it's like weird, different problems. None of our problems are exactly the same. And in my case, the two beneficiaries, there's my brother over here, there's no disagreement among us. The system is a will and trust. This is to every single American out there. What good is a will and trust if the courts don't follow a will and trust? Wouldn't you want all of you have wills and trusts and you would want them to follow? Is that a yay?
Yay! Duh!
This is something that's something needs to be changed. And somehow in the hands of the wrong people, they don't even want to abide by the will and trust. They have more power than the will and trust. It's extraordinary. But anyways, I'm not here to talk about me. I'm here to bring light, and hopefully major media will start to cover it, whether it's 60 Minutes, Extra, CBS, ABC, NBC. All of you are going to be the key to media to cover. The fact that Jody led this, that Jody got a 30-time Emmy Award winning producer, director to do her last thing, that all of you came out here to voice what's happening to each and every one of you. Deborah, amazing at what you've done, what you've organized. I want to compliment each and every, Lori, you've come out here. I don't know all of you. Many of you know of me because I am a film producer and I'm a talent manager. And I was also a United States naval officer who handled public affairs. This is going to be, it's happening to all of you, because what's happening to all of you is growing all over the place. This is the fastest growing crime in America because it's so easy, and it's sad, to take advantage of you. Watch the movie I Care a Lot or Bad Guardian. They're based on true stories. What's happening to all of us, you get the system. Billy, that was an excellent speech. All of you gave it. None of us here to amplify it, to let whoever is looking at this, that there's many, many people that are suffering right now, and there are many more people that are going to suffer.
Hey, thank you all for being here. I'm going to tell you one thing. This woman right here, 2 weeks before she gave up and died, 2 weeks before that, she made me promise And you know, making a promise to your mother is kind of like making a promise to God. I will not stop fighting to expose this corruption. And this fella, who was paying himself at least 10 grand a month and paying all his cronies out of my mother and dad's hard-earned money. I promise this woman I will not stop until her life mattered. Because as the way it is, everything she built up with her, for her legacy, for our family, the American Way Cultural Center, had to be destroyed and bulldozed and built over. Because if it wasn't, the fraud of the lies about her property would have been exposed. So I thank you all, and only God has the glory in this. Only God brought us all together today. Only God is going to make this right. And I do hope it's in our lifetime. But God, this is in your hands. I pray in Jesus' most precious name, amen.